And now it's time for a preview of an upcoming game by Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today I'm talking about something that I like for games. This is a preview for game night, and one of the things that I take to many of my game settings is my set of poker chips. I like poker chips because I can use them for money, and I hate paper money in game. The problem is when it came to looking for poker chips, I really struggled because there's so many out there. You can go to any toy store or department store usually and buy a fan of very cheap ones, but then sometimes they're not the denominations you want. Sometimes, there's all different things about them. But then also there really is a big difference in quality amongst poker chips. So I wanted to get poker chips that didn't have poker symbols on them, and eventually found them, but paid a pretty penny for them. But I'm also always on the lookout for other ways to use poker chips, and one of those ways is for victory points. There are many games out there that do not give you some way to score victory points. You either have to write them down, lots of card games do this, or the victory point counters that come with the game are horrible, or the victory point track in the game is hard to put the pieces on, Railroad Tycoon. And there's many different games where you have to keep track of victory points, and you just want a better way to do it. And so that's what we're talking about today, these chips. Let's take a closer look at them. So here are the chips. They are nice, really good quality chips. And you can see on them that they basically say they're 1 victory point on it. This is the 1 victory point chip. But this isn't the only denomination. We also have 2 victory points, and then they have 3 victory points, and then you have 5 victory points, and we have 10 and 25 and 100. And then for those games where things like this are simply great, you have your -1 victory point chips. Now, one of the nice things about these is, first of all, it says victory point, and secondly, it has a bit of a classy look to it. But also, when you turn over all the victory point chips, it doesn't matter what it says on the front of them, every single one of them looks the same on the side. So if you're one of those groups, or it's one of those games where keeping your victory points secret is a big deal, then you simply can turn them over and no one knows which one you have. And since they're poker chips are very sturdy style chips, you don't have to worry about them getting dinged or knocked around or dropping them on the floor, and so you have piles of good chips to use. There's actually a stretch goal in the game right now on the Kickstarter, since the Kickstarter is already funded, so you're going to get these chips if you want to. And they have another denomination, 50s, which is coming into play. Now these are exactly the same size as regular poker chip. They have a great feel, a great weight, and since the Kickstarter lets you basically pick what denominations you want, you really can get a whole piles of them, and you could either keep them in one game or basically just have your own set that you have and around that you can use in the different games. There's not much more to say other than that. I could talk for a while about how nice these are and make this into a whole QVC thing, but in reality, this is the kind of accessory for games that I think is great because it fits with so many. Starting from the very simple, use these for a Settlers of Catan game to keep track of points. It's a nice way to do so, easy, and like I said, they add a bit of class to the game. 2, maybe a card game where the first person to get 50 points, and instead of scratching everything down on a piece of paper, you simply use these chips instead, and again, it gives a little bit more flavor to the whole experience. So if you are interested in these chips, in just a moment I'm going to show you a Kickstarter link, and you can go there and pledge for these. Great quality, fun, and usable in pretty much any game.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.